Hey guys, it's Brant back with Steven, and today we're not going to be doing an album review. This is another list review, or not a review, just a list. And we've been talking about it, and we were talking about album covers and Kiss album covers and everything like that. So what we're going to do is we're going to do our top 20 favorite Kiss album covers. Now, I have to say that I like most of Kiss's album covers. So just because one doesn't make it to a list, it doesn't mean that I don't like it. It just means that it's not one of my top 10 favorites.
Right.
People think that all the time. They think that if you say you don't, if it's something doesn't make it to a list or
you don't like it,
it's not one of my favorite songs, it doesn't mean that I don't like it. It just means it's one of the songs that it's not one of my favorites.
Yeah. We should also say that when he says top 20, he means 10 individually.
Oh yeah. Top 20. I'm going to do my 10, and he's going to do his 10, and we got two separate lists. So I have a 10, he'll have a 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, so forth. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with you. What is your number 10?
So my number 10 is... Alright, so my number 10 is the debut album.
The debut album cover, okay?
Yeah.
All right. And I'm going to put that debut album cover up somewhere between us or over our faces or whatever while we're talking. So what do you like about it?
Even though you don't yet see the personification of the members of the band because they haven't really created those aliases yet, it's kind of just like, I don't know, it's just like it's the beginning of everything. Mm-hmm. Although Peter's makeup arguably does look a little weird. One thing that I've always noticed is it kind of looks like Ace has a little bit of like silver dye in his hair.
Right.
Is that a thing, or is it just the way they have it lit?
I think he did have some silver dye in his hair, and I think that's something he might have done very originally on. And another thing that I noticed about that is Paul, like you said, the makeup is not Gene's. Gene's wasn't the full bat wings that they became. Paul's star was kind of little.
It's very small.
Plus, he was showing his forehead, which he doesn't do beyond that album. And he kind of didn't do up to that point. And so it's kind of weird. But Paul had actually experimented with the Bandit makeup.
A lot of people like that, the Bandit. Yeah.
A lot of people like the Bandit makeup too. Yeah. So he had experimented with the Bandit makeup. Okay.
But that's why I just like it. I think it's just kind of like, here's the beginning of everything. You can see where they started.
All right. So my number 10 is the album cover for the album Revenge. It doesn't show the band at all. It's just a big, huge Kiss logo, which I'm always a fan of the Kiss logo. I've always thought the Kiss logo was one of the most iconic logos that have ever been created. And I like the that metallic look, and I don't know. I mean, whenever I see that album cover, even though, like I said, I know it don't have Kiss on it as a band on it, I just like it. It's one of my ones that I, kind of gravitate towards, and everything.
It does look really cool.
Yeah. Okay, so what is your number 9?
Okay, so my number 9 is Dressed to Kill.
Okay.
I think it's really classy.
Right.
Even though Gene is wearing some pants that don't fit him. But not just the album work itself. I think it's really cool that they embossed Kiss around it. I think that's really neat. It's a nice little touch. And I just like how my favorite color is blue. So just the way that the whole album is kind of done over in blue, I really like that.
Okay. All right. So my number 9 is the album cover for Carnival of Souls. Now, I like the reason why, like I said, I've been in a recording studio before, and there's a preconception that you have about a band whenever they're recording an album. When you're listening to a song, a lot of times I have a tendency to think that you see the band in the video. But what you don't realize is when they're recording in a studio, a lot of times they're unshaven, they have on street clothes, they'll have on bandanas or ball caps or comfortable clothing because they're in the studio for 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day recording. And a studio is not always a neat little, sterile environment. There's cables going everywhere and there's equipment everywhere. And I just think Carnival of Souls, it looks like, and the story I've heard is they didn't think that the the photo that made it, when the guy came into the studio that day and started shooting photos, they didn't think that that was what was going to be the album cover, and it ended up being the album cover. And Carnival of Souls actually they recorded it, and they weren't going to release it. They were going to shelve it. But then some recordings of it got leaked and started making it out on the internet. So they're like, oh, well, if it's going to get on the internet, we might as well release it.
Might as well make some money off of it.
Might as well make some money off of it. And it's not a favorite album by a lot of people, but we're not talking about the album itself right now. We're just talking about covers. And so my number 9 is Carnival of Souls. Right. How about you, number 8?
Number 8, Rock and Roll Over. I know this is a lot of people's favorite cover, but and again, you kind of see, you know, he's got Rock and Roll Over here. You really start to get the personifications of each member on there, which I think is really cool. But I can't help but shake it. Just kind of looks like a saw blade.
Yeah.
And then, but there is one thing about the design of Rock and Roll Over that we questioned this whenever we started reviewing it. I said, what is the correct way to hold this? Because each way looks right. Mm-hmm. But of course, you have to have Gene and Paul on top because they're the big boys.
Yeah, Paul goes in the upper left-hand corner. That's the proper way. And I said that I was going to there was an alternate prototype album cover, and I said that I was going to put it in the Rock and Roll Over review, and I didn't. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be sure to show that during this as well. Because Paul and Gene, Ace and Peter pretty much didn't change from the prototype to the original production, but Gene and Paul changed. Paul changed pretty significantly. Paul's downright ugly in the prototype. His eyes are real big and buggy. And Gene looks a little more demonic than he already does on that. So I'm looking at this, and what I'm looking at is I'm looking at back here. I'm in the back behind Steven. But so Rock and Roll Over, that's a good choice.
Yeah, that's it for me. Number 7 for you.
Is it?
Oh, number 8. Sorry, I jumped right to 7.
Number 8 for me.
Number 8.
My number 8 album cover is Psycho Circus.
The holographic thing.
The holographic, cool. Yeah. I like that it's Kiss with the curtain, and then you turn it, and it's the curtain's open, and it's the little images, and it was the return of Kiss. Even though, you know, all band members didn't play on every song on the album, which I think really sucks, but we'll talk about that when we get to that review. But this is just a great album cover, and even you flip it over on the back, you know, there's the pictures of the guys close up and everything on the back, the little round pictures and everything. Psycho Circus is just, I think it's a great album cover. I love the holographics. It was a great way for the band to come back. So that is that's my number 8.
Right. Number 7. Carnival of Souls. I like how raw it is. I've looked at a couple other photos from that shoot, and there was probably another one I would have used that's not that one, but they all look very similarly styling. And I also like the back cover of Carnival of Souls a lot because it just gives you, like he said, it gives you a real vibe into what it means to be a musician in the studio. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny when you think about your favorite artist, especially a band like Kiss. You know, they're not in the studio with their makeup on.
I remember thinking that when I was a kid. I remember thinking that they were in the studio with their makeup on and stuff, and they're not. They're not in there in their costumes. You know, they're in there in their day clothes. You know.
Yeah. So my number 7 is Carnival of Souls.
All right. My number 7 is Creatures of the Night.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Gosh, I forgot about that one.
Creatures of the Night. Creatures of the Night. It's an amazing cover. And even though Ace didn't play on the album,
he's still there.
He's still there. He was there, contractual obligations, and he was in the video. I Love It Loud and everything. But we all know that was studio musicians and Vinny on that album. And Vinny saved Kiss. PSA. But but I just love the video too. It ties in with the video because, you know, when all the kids have the eyes and they have the glowing eyes and everything. And I just remember seeing that album in the record stores when it came out when I was a kid. And I loved it and everything. I do not like the re-release with Bruce Kulick on it and the makeup off and Paul Stanley's butt or somebody's butt on the back of it. I don't like that. I like the one that's got that band on the front with the glowing eyes and the lightning strike on the back of it. So my number 7, Creatures.
All right, number 6. So we discussed this a little bit, and we decided it would be best to put the solo albums collectively. So my number 6 is the solo albums. Not only because they look really cool, but they are extremely well done. If you ever have a chance to get a vinyl copy in your hand, just look at how amazingly detailed the art on them are.
Yeah.
They're very, very detailed, and I mean, credits to whoever the artist was that did those.
Right. I agree. Those are just some amazing album covers, and you know, I like that they released them all on the same day.
They're all the same style.
They're all the same style. They're all done by the same artist. They're all done in the same way. And it was the album cover. It was the album covers that kind of solidified in people's minds who Kiss was. And it was also the first time that the colors associated with the band came about. You see red now, you think of who? Gene. Purple.
Paul.
Green.
Peter.
Blue.
Ace.
Right. That had not happened before the album covers. And it would happen after that. Their Dynasty costumes would be themed in their colors. It's one of those things that's just kind of solidified them. Plus, it had the posters on the inside that interlocked, and you put them all together, and it just made one big mural. You know, great albums, great packaging, great album covers. So yeah, I agree with that.
Number 6 for you? So
number 6 for me is the album cover for Dynasty. Now I love Dynasty because it's got the 4 band members right there, you know, front and center. And I've heard different accounts about this. I've heard that the front cover was taken all 4 members at the same time, that it was a composite where it was Paul and Gene, and then Ace and Peter was put in. There's different covers out there, some more rare covers where it wasn't cropped off. And if you open it up on the inside and you look, there's a poster that they're in black, and I'll probably pop the poster up. They had on straitjackets, and they thought the straitjackets was a little too extreme. They blacked in the straitjackets and made them black. And for the fans, it was because Dynasty was touted as the return of Kiss, because Kiss had been gone since the Love Gun tour. They didn't tour for the solo albums. They took this big, huge, long break, and then 1979 was the return of Kiss, and you didn't know what their costumes looked like. You know, everybody. I remember this because I was a Kiss fan during this time. I was 10, and you didn't know what their costumes looked like, and it didn't show on the album cover. It didn't show on the poster. They were all draped in black, and then when they came out on tour and they started having pictures of the costumes were just over the top, amazing, a little flamboyant, very flamboyant, not very practical. So mine is Dynasty.
All right. Let's move on to number 5.
Number 5 for you.
Love Gun. It's covered up by Alive 2.
Covered up by Alive 2, yeah, because we just reviewed Love Gun.
I mean, absolutely legendary album cover, to say the least. It's very well painted by, you know, a talented artist. And it's a very iconic Kiss album cover. The back's a little plain.
Yeah. Yeah, the back's
just
a little
it's
plain.
just the same thing without any people.
Yep. Yeah, well,
that's not a good example.
That's not a good example. Well, none of mine are good examples. Maybe
that one should be.
This one should be. Yep.
Yeah. But I mean, it's iconic. I don't see how you could make a top album cover list without having it on there. So that's my numero 5.
My number 5 album cover is Alive 1, the original, the first Alive album.
Alive.
I love even though it's a staged photo shot, concert shot. It's not a real concert shot. It's staged. I just love it. I love the crowd on the back. I remember looking and seeing, my God, that's a lot of people. And the poster, I've tried to redo the poster when I was a kid. Everybody tried to redraw that poster. And then you open it up and there was the letters from Kiss to the fans, and in their own handwriting and stuff. And it's just one of those album covers that sticks with me. It's very nostalgic to me and everything. So my number 5 is The First Alive.
All right, cool. On to number 4. My number 4 is Alive 2. Mostly for the gatefold.
Right, and I'll put the gatefold up. Yeah, the gatefold's amazing.
But the back of it, I like the back of it a lot as well.
Yeah.
Well, that's not a good example. We're not going to do this anymore.
Yeah. I'll put the back up on the video.
But the images that you have on the bottom really, kind of personify the band again, with Gene making like a grumpy face with blood, and Paul doing his pouty face per usual. Ace, assumably in the middle of a solo, and I'm not sure what's up with Peter.
I always thought Peter looked like he might have been singing Beth. That's what Peter was known for at this time, was Beth.
Yeah, but that's my number. What was it? 4?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my number 4. Is Alive 2.
My number 4 is Destroyer. Destroyer to me is, and I like both. I like both the Destroyer and the Destroyer Resurrected. But the one that I'm talking about in particular here is the one that I grew up with, was the original Destroyer. It was one of those things that, like I said, I was a kid at this point in time, and even as an adult, I love these album covers. But it personified Kiss too. It began to make them like larger than life. Here they are on this album cover in a way that they'd never been before, because the first 3 album covers were photos of them, just their faces, then photos of them posing in black and white, and then photos of them standing in black and white, and then here you got this full color drawing painting of them, and it just blew me away. So yeah, it's my number 4 album cover.
It is very like fantasy-ish. All right, on to number 3. My number 3 is Kiss Alive 1.
Kiss Alive 1.
Because it's just, it's a great shot, staged or not. It's a good shot. It's really magical. It's like, for anyone who had never saw Kiss live, it's like,
that's what it's like to see Kiss live.
That's what it's like, because video probably wasn't very prominent back in the 70s.
No.
So I feel like it was a kind of like a gift to Kiss fans who had never been to a live show, and then they got to have that kind of experience,
right?
To imagine what it would be like to be there,
right? Okay, so this is my number 3. My number 3 is Love Gun. Like what Steven said, what he said earlier. Once again with Love Gun, and we'll put the video up. Love Gun to me, I talked about this in my Love Gun review that we just did. This just to me personified, this is who Kiss was at that time. And up until the solo albums, this is the way people saw Kiss. Even if you didn't get to see them live, this is the way you saw them. And there were so many pictures of them taken in these costumes. Probably the most photographed show, the Love Gun show, which Live 2, because once the Live 2 came out, the Love Gun tour became the Live 2 tour. They used the same stage, the same hydraulics, the same drum riser, same costumes. They had these costumes for several years. These costumes took them all the way up to Dynasty. But yeah, what the girls down at the bottom, falling out over them and everything. The back being kind of plain, but Plus, it came with the Love Gun. Had the pretty cool dust cover that had the kissing blood on the marble. Just a really cool cover, really cool packaging.
Yeah, I agree.
So down to your number 2.
Number 2, Destroyer, Resurrected.
The resurrected version of Destroyer.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I just prefer the way some of the members. We've covered this in our Destroyer video. I think you could cut them in half, and I think that would be optimal costume wise.
I think I actually did that in the Destroyer video.
You did.
Yeah.
I was impressed. And that was that. But I feel like Destroyer either way is a good cover. But I feel like Resurrected, I'd like it just slightly better. And that might also be that because I have a slight affinity towards that album more. Mm-hmm. But I picked Destroyer Resurrected, and I'm not gonna just hash over what he already said about it.
Okay. So my number 2 is one that he's already said, and my number 2 is the solo albums. I don't want to. I basically could say the same things that you said. The solo albums is who I came in being a Kiss fan somewhere around. Love Gun had already been out. Alive 2 had already been out. I remember Double Platinum coming out, but I don't think I got Double Platinum right off. Or my mom didn't buy it for me right off because I was 8. But I remember I was 9 and the solo albums came out. And my mom we went down to the record store and she bought all 4 of them for me, and they came in the little bag. And I remember going home and opening them up and seeing it had the poster in it and putting the poster together. And I remember me being an idiot. I taped mine together, which I don't have none of my original Kiss albums anymore. They've been gone long gone. I've been having to rebuild my collection. But I remember just sitting and just looking at the album, looking at all the detail that you could see in the albums. They're just plain black backs. They were all done the same format and everything. But and the poster was cartoon, it was hand drawn, but just the album covers themselves were just absolutely phenomenal. So the solo albums collectively, all 4 of them, is my number 2. So what we wanted to do before we get to number 1, we wanted to throw in some honorable mentions, because we could have made this list. We could have took every Kiss album and ranked them from top to bottom, but this thing would have been longer than it's already going to be. So
we thought there was more value in getting our 2 different opinions on a short amount, our closed-in amount, than there would be if me and him did a list collectively, or if we did like all 30 of them. Right.
So, but we did want to do some honorable mentions before we did the first one, so we picked 3 honorable mentions. So what are your 3 honorable mentions for albums?
Okay, so my 3 honorable mentions are The Elder,
mm-hmm.
Revenge,
right,
and Kiss Alive 4 Symphony.
Okay. All right.
Yours?
My honorable mentions are The Elder, Unmasked, and Dressed to Kill.
All right.
Those would have been nipping on number 10's.
Yeah. Had we done like 15, those 3 would have easily been in there for me. They might as well have been 11, 12, and 13. Yeah.
So number 1 for you.
Number 1 for me, Dynasty.
Dynasty. Okay, why?
I just think it's a cool cover. I mean, it's really great. And aside from Gene kind of looking like a confused gorilla, I think that they're all in their element.
Mm-hmm.
There. Mm-hmm. I really like it. I think it's
very in your face. I mean, it is a close up.
Yeah.
Probably the closest photo, some of the closest photos that you get on an album, right?
Yeah, and I just think it's really cool. That little silver trim around the edge of mm-hmm. Dynasty written in red.
Mm-hmm.
I have an affinity for it. Every time I scroll past it and like on my playlist on my phone or anything like that, I'm just like, that's really cool.
Yeah. Okay. So, my number 1, Kiss Alive 2.
Really?
Mm-hmm. My number 1 favorite album cover, the best album cover that I think they've ever done, total packaging, Kiss Alive 2. Because, like I said, you have the packaging. You know, you have the album cover, like I said, and I love the logo, and it is Kiss Alive 2, and it's got the photos. Yeah, but that's my favorite one. So, having said all that, we'd like to see your top 10 list of your favorite Kiss albums. Don't beat us up too bad for, oh God, how did you not choose, like me, how did you not choose the first Kiss album, not even in your top 13? I really don't like the first Kiss album cover. He does, but I really don't. I don't think it personifies them as who they were, or who they are, or who they were going to be. But that's just me. That's my opinion. And opinions are like buttholes, and we all have one. So, but
gosh, you just threw it back real far on that one. if no one knew you were old, they know now.
Yeah. But what I mostly like to see more than, if you want to send hate, that's fine. You can send hate. But what I'd like to mostly see is, what's your top 10? Give me your top 10 favorite Kiss album covers. And as always, continue to like and subscribe and comment and share. Share us out there. And we're going to go ahead and wrap this video up. I'm Brant.
I'm Steven.
And we'll see you next time.